It's Only Sport with Martin Devlin on the platform. Brought to you by One New Zealand. Let's get connected.
Aaron, you're in Andorra. Now, last time we knew anything about Andorra, that was when George was up there. So, what, you got a house down the road?
He's a little bit up the road from us, but yeah, there's a few Kiwis here now. We've got Corbin Strong just around the corner, and numerous other Kiwis floating around Andorra now. So it's cool to have a little expat base up here.
And what? How many months do you spend up there?
This is kind of home for us now. So I live here with my wife Kirsty and our two young boys, and they go to school here and everything. So it's basically when I'm not racing a bike, I'm here. So it's nice to bit of downtime now. So get some time at home with the family here.
God, when you're not racing a bike, congratulations, my man. Signing up with the Astana Kazakhstan World Tour Road Team. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's going to be an exciting year ahead.
How kind of life changing is this for you?
It's pretty cool. Like I needed a goal beyond the Olympics, and I was lucky enough to have been talking with the team for some time and managed to pen a deal just before the games kicked off. So, I mean, it was, you can also suffer regardless if you win or lose going to the Olympics. It's the post-Olympic blues is definitely a thing for a lot of people. And, you know, when you've got something to look beyond that, it was nice to sort of have that in the back of my head too, something beyond the Olympic rush. And, it's just something to look forward to, I suppose.
I want to come back to that because that's really significant that you've actually mentioned that. When I say the Astana Kazakhstan team, does that mean that you have to go to Kazakhstan?
Well, I've got an email recently about the first team building camp at the end of October, but location yet to be determined. And
Right.
I've heard all sorts of stories about previous boot camps and whatnot that have been run in the past for team building. So not sure yet, but no, it's one of those things where the World Tour has teams registered in different countries all around the world, and a lot of the team base is actually out of Italy and Luxembourg, I believe. So there's kind of vehicle registration plates from all over the show, and it's like the World Tour is kind of the travelling circus of cycling and they've also got a new Chinese sponsor coming on board too. So there'll be a lot of influence from further east too. So it'll be an interesting dynamic next year. But I'm kind of looking forward to the opportunity. Still a lot of very multinational team looking at the roster. So it's going to be a bit of a change, but I'm looking forward to it.
God, that's global, isn't it? I mean, you just rattled off about 5 or 6 countries there. So who else is actually on the team then, as far as your running mates?
Fair few Italians, few Kazakhstanis, of course, and Belgians, all sorts. So it's it is very multinational. I believe the core language is English at least, so it's a step forward somewhat from this year, where I was sort of a deer in the headlights sometimes in the team meetings and full Espanol, trying my best to understand where the water and feed points were and what the team tactics were for the day. So it's at least that will hopefully be an easier step forward, I suppose.
What's your role, Aaron? What do they want you to do?
I sort of fill my main role is going to be supporting the bunch sprinters in the team. So I bring from the track, I suppose, like sort of a sustained high power, which is quite suitable to, keeping the sprinters out of the wind in that crucial last final kilometre leading into the sprint, so they can unleash their last effort towards the line from a good position. And then also, like, an important part of a lot of team seasons is the early classics, they're called, in Northern Europe, racing in the foul conditions of Belgium and Northern France in the early part of the season, and then hopefully get another Grand Tour under my belt too at some point in the year. And and then also it kind of helps now. Just I've had some recent success in China, and with the new Chinese sponsor on board, I think they'll be looking to me to go to some of those Asian races too, to put my best foot forward with the squad.
Aaron Gates is with us. He is signed for Astana Kazakhstan, so he'll be on the Grand Tours. So you're doing the tight five work. Let's just put it in All Black terms here, right? I mean, you're doing the dark art stuff. You're down there in those trenches where they're basically, you win the ball and you give it to the frilly guys out the back line, right?
That's the one. It tends to be a role that us Kiwis are attracted to. I'm not sure why, but yeah, it's quite rewarding as well when you work with a team that has a common goal and you're a key part of that key cog in that machine. I've been to a few teams where you kind of all just end up riding around. I mean, in my early days, and you're just trying to all get to the finish line at some point, and you don't have that real direction and drive as a unit. Like it's often it goes by the wayside sometimes with how much of a team sport cycling really is, and it's kind of what makes it so enjoyable for me as well.
I find that fascinating, mate. I can't pretend to know, huge amounts about it, but I love that dynamic where, and where the guy that like wins the Tour de France or wins the Giro or whatever, and he turns around and he actually pays credit to the horses, mate. I mean, it's going to, because, you have to have all of these moving parts working together. That's, you can't win it on your own.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think it does feel like it's something that's quite unique to cycling as well. Like even with my current Spanish team, Burgos BH, last week in China, I had the leader's jersey. And when you've got the leader's jersey, you're in a really tricky position because everyone looks at you to be the one. Well, everyone's trying to attack you basically and get that jersey off your shoulders. And I had, this team of people from all over the world. I had one fellow Kiwi there in George Jackson, but we had a bloke from Uruguay, a bloke from Spain. The staff were, we got a mechanic that doesn't speak any English from Cuba, plus an Australian soigneur looking after us. It's really, you do end up with some pretty odd situations in cycling, and you got to. Yeah, I guess it just keeps life interesting.
Well, just the psychology of that, when you're wearing that jersey, I mean, that changes everything that day, doesn't it? That stage, when you're wearing that jersey.
Yeah, it does. And I think a special moment for me was also winning another stage in that jersey, because that's definitely something that's not easy to do, where you've got everyone's eyes looking at you and your every move. And that was something that was quite cool. And again, it was a position I couldn't have been in without the team looking after me and reeling the breakaway back in before the sprint finish and everything they have to do. And, you end up getting to the finish line the freshest out of everyone in the whole team, because you've just had to look after yourself and be prepared to diffuse any last minute situations. But when the team does it well, you actually have the easiest ride of the day.
Aaron Gates is with us, won 4 Commonwealth gold medals, is of course an Olympic medalist, bronze in the 2012 team pursuit. Earlier you were saying about the psychology, the come down after the Olympics. And look, I'm so glad you've mentioned that, because now that you have, it just seems so obvious. God, the adrenaline and everything that must be pumping. You get selected for that, you build up to that, you arrive at the Olympics. I've been to the Olympics. It's just an incredible event. It's just a sensory overload. There's got to be a come down after that. I mean, how kind of big is it?
Yeah, it is pretty big. And I think the thing that's also difficult as well is there's so many other people that put so much into your performance there as well, because although like I ride in the team pursuit as well, which is a team of 5 of us that are there with four on the track. You've got 4 or 5 other people that have tried to push for selection too, that have been now sitting at home watching you, or other races around the world watching you and what you guys can do. But my coach as well, my wife, all the support staff at Cycling NZ. It's a pretty big emotional, a lot of emotion from a lot of people go into that particular moment. And with the team pursuit, it's less than 4 minutes of effort that everything is riding on that moment. And we ended up 5th, which is not the result you want to have. And I've gone, it's my 4th Olympics now, and bronze in London. I wanted to sort of progress from that, but I've gone to 2 more after that, with 4th and now 5th. So it's like it's not where I wanted to be, but we threw everything at it that we had, and it's just the nature of the sport now. The team pursuit is kind of the Formula One of the Olympics, in the regard that it's the most heavily reliant. Well, I think so anyway. The most heavily reliant event on technology and investment, and it's hard for a lot of Z sometimes to keep up with that sheer size of investment that some of the other nations have. And I'm not trying to make excuses as well. All the other athletes that beat us were phenomenal riders too, and you've got to get everything just perfectly right on that race day at the Olympics. And I think we had a really long debrief as a squad just last week, actually, about all the things we can do better, bigger, better, faster going forward. And I think it's an event that New Zealand can hopefully come back and remain competitive in going forward.
Highs and lows, man. I mean, your gold medals around your neck, you've always got those. Fifth and fourth, though, it's so bloody close, isn't it? I mean, how long does it, it's gutting because it's so close. You can touch it, but you can't touch it. How long does it take for you just to be able to absorb all of that, let go of any just anger or hate about it? Because, I know how competitive you are, and it's easy to lose sight of that, and then just refocus again. And this is a great piece of news to do that, isn't it? But does that linger with you, that, God damn, it was so close?
Yeah, it definitely was. And, you start looking at all the things you could have done differently in the 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, 2 years prior to that event. And even the approach was trying to do all three events too much, because you look at the guys that did succeed, and a lot of it came, they had one stellar standout performance, and they were standing on the podium and won, and then had an absolute shit show in another race. So it's it is hard, and I think that's kind of what almost annoyed the people around me, that I was came across as blasé after it. It's like, oh, well, that's how it went, time to move on. But if I don't, if I start dwelling on it, then it's not my style to dwell on things. But I think it came across that I didn't appreciate what had gone into it from everyone around me too, and that definitely wasn't the case. But it's a hard thing to manage, and I'm not exactly the most how would my wife put it, emotionally connected person. So it can be a challenge. Just
every man in the place is just. I'll tell you what, if she's listening at the moment, every guy, she's looking at that guy that's next to her. And look, I mean, we all get accused of this, mate, but it's just processing it. It just is, isn't it? I don't know what you meant to do. Are you meant to sit and sulk about it forever? I mean, what do people want? Or you mean, you have to move on, Aaron. You have to move on.
It's Only Sport with Martin Devlin on the platform. Brought to you by One New Zealand. Let's get connected.